Hey, what's up, YouTube? Back for another one. I have no idea what this next one's about. I guess I should say something about. I've already had a few of my videos flagged on YouTube. Some of it has to do with. I think it was had something to do with the vaccines. I don't know what I said, or if I was listening to somebody who said something during a live stream. So I don't know if I'm going to stay on YouTube much longer. I don't know where I'm going to end up, but I'm going to keep trying to put out videos. So let's get this going. I'm using David Gibson again because he does this React content too. And to get my foot into the door, to get the algorithm kicking, I probably need to watch more of these React videos to get a good feed on my own YouTube channel so that I can have a variety of things to pick from. But right now, we're going through Devin Gibson's portal, his channel, his channeling of channelness. So yeah, let's get onto it, into the video. So it's a Jesse Lee Peterson video, excuse me, and a gay priest. So let's get into
Black
it.
don't crack.
Black don't crack.
Is that true?
That's a strong start.
I think so.
Have you ever heard that once you go black,
That's
you can't go
empirical.
back?
Now, see, you can read that two ways. Either you never go back to the black person, or you never go back from where you were before the black person. But maybe there was no one before the black person, so there's only the one interpretation, which means you're never going back to the black person. But who knows? That's my joke.
Don't take the
I
risk.
must have heard black don't crack.
Yeah, you have to.
Right, right.
And you have to have heard once you go black, you can't go back.
No, I don't think I've ever heard that.
Ask your congregation.
My congregation's Latino.
They know.
They do know.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that would have to be, once you go brown, you stay around.
That's right. Once you go brown, you hang around.
Oh, this is
What
gonna be a
happens when you
doozy.
go white?
I have no idea where this conversation's going. It's
We
pretty
go
wild
white.
already.
If it ain't white, it ain't right. Come on now. I'm mixed with a bunch of different things, as are all of us. It really don't matter, but this is all fun. I'm loving this start.
What happens
we
when you
going?
go white?
Get back. When you go white, get back.
You say good night.
That's right.
Oh, Lord.
That's amazing.
When times get tough, you need to get down. No need to look backward. Put your feet on the ground. Stand up. Stand up.
The
Welcome
fallen
to the Fallen
state.
State.
All
I
right,
am
here
Jesse
we
Lee
are.
Peterson. Today I have with me a leader of Sacred Resistance LA. He is Tom
Ignore the
Carey.
mess in my background.
Tom Carey,
Or
also
don't
a
ignore it.
priest
Critique me.
of
Leave a
the
comment.
Episcopal
Tell me what you think.
in Los Angeles. He's also you call a father too, right?
Yeah, if people want to call me father, they can. I go with Tom as good.
Oh, okay.
If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. I'm not calling you father. There's one father. That's God Almighty. That's Yahweh. Abba. Not calling Tom father. Tom is just Tom. From my space.
I'm a little confused because
Yeah, I don't
thought on the
agree.
top-
Like, I mean, there's father can be used pluralistically. Like the Catholic Church has like accepted like pluralism in language, not as like something that's good. It's just a useful like function of language that we can recycle words to refer to different things. Like, so I mean, clearly there's a difference between like God the Father and then like a church father, and like you don't earnestly mean the same thing when you say father. And if you do, like, obviously that's serious confusion of the faith, and you need to probably reconsider your reason.
Catholic priest would call
No,
father.
well, it's a funny thing.
I was looking around for my water bottle, but I don't know
right?
where it is. I think I might have left
all
out in the
priests
other
are
room.
also ministers. But a priest
guess
is
I'm
somebody
going
who
dry.
celebrates Mass or celebrates the Eucharist. And not all churches do that.
Right.
Right.
How do you feel when people call you father?
It depends on who's doing it.
Are you like, I'm not old enough to be your father?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Are you called by God to be a priest, or is it something you volunteer to do?
It's you feel a calling, right? And so in my case, I felt a calling deep within me that's happened after many years. I was already in my 30s and 40s. So I'm not presumptuous enough to say that's a call by God, because that's too big and mysterious.
Right.
I felt a definite calling. It was a call to be of service, It was a call to make connection and to join my spirituality with the spirituality of other people.
You could just feel it in your body?
Yeah, sure.
How old were you at the time when you first felt it?
When I
Kind of wish
was
I had that calling to be
like 15,
to join the
I wrote a
church.
letter to my father saying I thought I wanted to become a man of the cloth,
Right.
right?
But those thoughts
then I
just don't
forgot all about
arise.
it. And so it really came back to me after I started being in recovery from alcoholism. About 5 years into recovery, I got the call. I thought I wanted to be a priest.
Amazing. And so you never been married?
Well, you can marry in my church.
Oh, you can?
You sure?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, my church is gay friendly. I can marry a man.
You
in
can
my
marry a
church.
man?
In my church.
Have
yeah.
you ever done it?
I've met you. I've
My
officiated
church.
at the
My
marriage.
church.
But you never married one.
No, I've never been married.
It's pretty
Oh,
scary.
okay.
Wait, your church is gay friendly? That's not a church of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I
That's
only go
not-
to the Jesus
that's not
church.
The bride of Jesus Christ. That's not what he died.
I don't know
on the
who's
cross
my
for,
church.
because
Like, what's that
that's an
mean?
abomination. That's a sin. Just like many other sins across the board. We'll talk about those more down the line, but you're a gay friendly church and you can marry a man. No. God's covenant, how he designed it to be, going back to Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, not two men, man, woman, in marriage, the only two that can make a baby. Okay. That's not a church. That's not the kind of church I want to be a part of. That's called cattywampus.
And
I could agree with most of that
no
thinking, I
children
think.
or anything?
No.
I say most
Do
just
you
because
regret
I'm
not
very
getting
forgetful.
married, having children,
I
now
don't
that
remember
you're
everything.
older?
Well, and I'm gay.
You're gay?
Yes.
You don't look
What
gay.
does it mean to be gay?
We come in all shapes.
Does he just
and
have
sizes, brother.
attractions? Or does he act on them?
So you're gay?
I'm gay.
I didn't know you were gay.
Yes. Well,
What
I
makes
just told
something
you.
gay?
How did you become gay?
Being
One
fake,
doesn't
maybe?
become gay. One is born that way.
Does God know you gay?
I believe so.
Oh, no. Once he just said I'm gay, here we go again. Let the clown show begin. Oh, my
There's just like a deep problem. Like, because technically, like, the way I read this person saying that he's gay is that he's an egoist. He essentially thinks that his wants and desires form his identity. And that's just wrong. That's just, it's an ontological, categorical mistake. Like, that's not where personhood is founded. It's not where identity is founded. Identity is founded in the law of non-contradiction with the word. And God is the word. Jesus is the word. Praise Jesus. And that's where your identity is found, right? It's not in something that you desire or something that you want.
Good night. You want to talk about cattywampus? This interview is about to take a hard left turn. I already know how Jesse rolls. I know he's about to troll city it up. You're not born gay. That's not the way God created you to be. Not whatsoever. What are you talking about? You're created man or woman in God's image. God ain't gay. So this sin that you're living in, promoting in, leaning into instead of running far away from and repenting of, this is wrong. How in the world did you become a pastor in the first place? Like, how do you even?
Like, when I hear people like identify as being gay, it's like, for me and like the perspective that I'm taking, it's just as arbitrary as like identifying with having odd or even number of hairs, or having like a slanted up or slanted down nose, or having thick or thin like eyebrows, or having dark or light hair, or having big feet or small feet. It's like, it's such an arbitrary like thing. Like, your body wants to do those things because it's growing it, right? But it doesn't mean that that's what you are, right? That's ridiculous. You're not any of those things. It's a fallacy of composition. It's a part to whole fallacy. Your parts do not make up your whole, right? And your whole is in the word and in non-contradiction with the word. That's where your holism comes from, right? Not from any like particular part of it.
Even want to become a man of the cloth if you're doing it all wrong, if you're laying with men and talking about it openly. Just nobody even asked you if you were gay. You just blurt out, I'm gay. Oh, okay.
Did he make you that way?
That's my opinion.
You think that God made you gay?
I have no, I don't know I'm not going to be presumed to
I mean, didn't you pick that? Like, don't you believe in freedom of speech?
plumb the depths
Didn't you
of
say
the, of
I'm
the
gay?
Most
Isn't
High,
that
but
your
yes,
language?
I've been gay
Or are
as
you
long as I
coerced
can
by
remember.
God? Is that what you're
And
saying?
so,
Like,
have
what are you
been
trying to
with
say?
men?
Of course.
Like sexually?
Yes.
That's mind blowing.
This is mind blowing for you. Why
Yeah.
is that?
Because I never expected a priest and a father of Epiphany Church to be gay.
That you're,
Epiphany
you're coming
Church.
from the assumption, what's look gay?
They,
You know.
is that what that was called in the Homer like the Simpsons movie? Like when Homer had he had an epiphany, right? Let me. The Simpsons movie epiphany. This is his church.
Until you have an epiphany.
Okay. What's an epiphany?
Sudden realization of great truth.
Okay.
Okay, I'm done.
Twitchy
I'm done
and
roasting him.
soft looking.
Really? That's what you call stereotyping.
Oh, but
That's
they're-
called,
Sugar
that's
in the
like
tank.
if I were to say to you, well, you're black, where's your fried chicken?
I was at the house. And I can't wait to get home and eat it.
It's true. It's not lying.
Dude, I love
Yeah,
fried
exactly.
chicken.
I mean, so
It's wrong.
Are your,
Either way.
do your congregation know that you're gay?
Absolutely, they do.
That is mind blowing. And so you think that God make mistakes?
No.
That's a big question.
See, like I'd ask him even further. It's like, is it like, do you believe that you can make mistakes, or do you believe that like you're without error? Like even if God like presents the idea, because like in the eternal like ideas like that God has, the wanting of like homosexual relationships is a part of like the corruption of like the generation aspect, right? So like there's the idea of generation, and then there's like the corruption of the generation in like wants that go against it. So it's essentially like it's a subordinate idea to like the greater idea of generation. And so I just wonder, like, in what world does he think that like it's an idea of itself to be like to have these gay wants, as opposed to them just being deficiencies in the want of generation, right?
You're a priest.
You're talking about everything that is involved at not only at the bottom of this universe, but whatever other inner universes exist. So I would say that I don't think actually that force that we call God makes mistakes. No.
What?
See, I don't think God makes mistakes, but I think that these people can, like, God will allow them to make mistakes, right? Like, it's not a mistake for God to will somebody's choice of making a mistake, right? Because like for the greater good, like he wishes us to like choose and have autonomy, bodily, like rational and bodily autonomy, so that we can experience the consequences of our behavior and make like reconciliations and corrections like in our higher reason and faith. So
Really?
it's like
And
he doesn't make
so,
mistakes. I mean, I'm trying to like clarify that like he makes mistakes, like in the sense that like God doesn't personally do anything like for his own sake that is a mistake, but for the sake of like preserving a greater good of freedom and autonomy, he creates the mistakes of other people. Like if somebody's like, oh, I'm going to choose to like commit murder, then God's going to be like the person who creates that murder happening, even like with that person, like through like their harmony, like their will in harmony with each other, right? Well, like God's desire, like God's will is like in harmony in the sense of permissibility, like he's permitting it to happen, but his will is in disharmony in the sense that he's commanding it not to happen in a moral abstract sense. And so like God is still the author of all creation, so the mistakes that are made in the world, in like the locality that they're in, are still God's creations, but he's also creating a greater good out of it by allowing it to happen. So ultimately he's aimed towards the good. And like that, it would be a part to whole fallacy again to say that, oh, God created a wrong because see, like these people were able to get away, like able to commit murder, and God creates everything, so therefore God created that murder. But it's like, but he created everything, not just the murder. And so, like, what does allowing the murder to happen that allows in all things, such as like our freedom, right?
Wait. What universe underlying? What are you talking about? God, this force we call God? Anyone who refers to Yahweh, the Alpha, the
As a
Omega,
force, that
as
sounds
some
like way
force,
too
you're not a
physical.
Christian.
He
This
sounds
is a wolf in
materialist.
sheep's clothing, y'all.
Yeah.
Pay close attention. God is Abba, Father. He has agape love for us. He doesn't love our sin. When you turn to God and truly have repented, confess Christ as Lord, He transforms you out of that. He gets you away from that. This
Agape.
is ridiculous. God is the creator of all things. He's from eternity.
The way I understand agape, it's like loving the likeness of like one another, right? So it's like the fact that we're people, like, so like we like love people as we love ourselves, right? Because like because we have that same likeness to us as like being persons with wills.
To eternity. And He's the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the triune and all-powerful, all-encompassing God.
True.
Not just some force. Praise the Lord that He's so much
He's a
more
spirit,
than that.
not a
These
force.
people,
He created
they gotta
forces,
stop promoting
but
these
he's not a
lies, for
force.
real. This is absolutely bonkers. How does he even call himself a priest?
It would
In
be
reality, he's
again a
mocking
fallacy of
God
composition.
openly to his congregation, to everybody. I don't know
So like equate like a part of God, which is the force, like the forces in nature, with God Himself.
how he got this role. And it just really goes to show you how easy it is for churches and anyone to become corrupt if they aren't Bible based, if they aren't truly living with biblical foundations and principles, and they try to, twist and turn the gospel to fit their narrative, to make it fit their truth. And perception, it's not reality. There isn't your truth, their truth, everybody else's truth. There's one truth. God's. Pray for the people that are under this man's influence, y'all, because right now he is leading that congregation straight to the wide gates of destruction, aka hell. And people, you can say I'm gay. That's your sin that you got to deal with. But no, you're not gay. You're a man or a woman, like I said, and you either live in sin and promote lawlessness, or you pursue Jesus Christ. Homosexuality, adultery, idolatry, greed, pride, gluttony, and so on. They're all sins in the Bible. We all are tempted, but with that temptation,
Oh yeah, I'm tempted.
comes
I was
a
tempted
path
this
to
morning and I
righteousness. God will
fell.
always
I
give you a
failed.
decision point. He'll always give you a
Pornography is a
place
very
in the road, a
powerful
fork in the road where you can choose
amplifier
to
of
go
lust.
the approved righteous path, or you can
And I
choose
fell for
to
it.
allow Satan to lead you to that dark hole of death and destruction. I'm not buying
It's
this
wrong.
cop out
Like
of God.
I hate it so much, but I'm agreeing with him. Like it's either Jesus or sin, and then it's like, and I fall short of it all the time, right? And I know I can't do anything about it. Like in the sense of like I just have to wait for God to grace me again, like essentially. And even then, like saying wait for God to grace me is almost like kind of contradictory, because it's like God operates outside space time, so it's not like a thing temporally that like you wait for. So it's like, you know what I mean? I'm already making some mistakes again, right? I'm a liar, right? Speaking my tongue without actually having the knowledge before I speak.
Me this way. He knows I'm gay. He knows you're gay, but he don't approve of it. He didn't make you this way. God don't make mistakes. He gets everything right the first time. So whatever culture or teachings or influences you allowed to sway you in that direction, don't put that on God. You're being a slave to sin that needs to reach repentance and truly come to the cross and confess Jesus Christ as Lord. You need to set down this father title, this priest title. You need to be stripped of those rights. If that offends people, then so be it. This probably isn't the channel for you. I'm not.
It's like that's the thing is like I don't know what the authority structure in his, what was it, the Epiphany Church, like who's the authority there, right? Like what are they using as an authority if they're allowed to have homosexual relations, like as like the head of the so-called church, right, of like his particular like congregation? Like how's he supposed to be considered at all like a spiritual leader if like he's openly doing those things and not even condemning them? Like it'd be one thing is like he openly did it and condemned it, and like he was living a life where he had bad orthodoxy but he had the right orthopraxy, and like he was teaching the orthopraxy like through proper orthodoxy, but like in his life holistically he fails at the orthodoxy. Like that'd be one thing. Like, you know, maybe like there's still hope for people like that, but like to participate in like those positions in the church, but it's like in his for the what is it called again? Epiphany Church. It's just like who's putting them where, right? Like who has the authority?
How you wanted it to be painted, because the truth shall
Where do they
set
get
you
authority
free.
from?
And it getting called out when you're not living in righteousness according to God's plan, it hurts, but it's absolutely paramount and it's necessary that you face that sin so you can change away from that sin.
And so,
But actually, also, I believe that things unfold in a moment for us, and that so that time itself is an illusion. I mean, we're not so how the power of the universe experiences all that, I have absolutely no inkling.
oh, okay. So now I see a little gate in you.
Good.
When you did this, I saw it. So thank you. So listen,
That's
do you
funny.
think that human beings are in a fallen state? The show is
Yes.
called The Fallen State.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the state of, as in the United States.
No,
the
fallen
fallen
away.
state.
Yeah.
No.
You
What?
I believe that we are born absolutely. What is born in us is born whole, right? And that actually it is what happens to us after we're born that contributes to
So
our.
you don't think that human beings are born in sin, and which caused them to fall away from God? And
No,
they
I
need
do
to-
not.
Do you don't think that they need to repent and be born again?
I do not. No.
Really?
No.
So is
What gospel are you reading? Because this
Yeah,
is
what is he
stable
talking about?
Genesis. Like, sin entered the world when Eve convinced Adam to eat that fruit from the knowledge of good and evil, from that tree, when Satan slithered his way in the Garden of Eden. What are you talking about? We are born into sin because sin has been present since the beginning of time when Adam fell for that trap. And then he went against what God told him to do. He said, you can eat from any tree out here. You can eat from anything out here but that tree. What did he do? He went against God. So what are you talking about? And then we have Christ, so we can repent, confess Christ as Lord, get baptized and wash that sin away, and then keep on spreading the good news. So what prosperity, nonsense, woke, Fruit Loop gospel are you preaching? Because this ain't it. This is not the Bible, the basic instructions before leaving earth. It don't matter what translation.
I
you
would
read.
defer to Devin more
This
about the
ain't
Bible
it.
than
I can promise
myself.
you that.
Like,
This is not truth.
I don't remember
so
everything I've
is,
read in the Bible, and I
is your
definitely haven't read
religion
it
the
cover to
same as
cover.
Christianity, or just
Yeah,
different?
I'm going
I
to play with the
should.
Episcopal Church, the
No.
Anglican Church, but you're talking about a thing called original sin.
Right.
Right. Well, original sin, really
happened.
began with St. Augustine, right, which is about 400 years after the New Testament was written. So that's a formulation he made, and it came from his own experience of conversion, right, where he had felt that his life up to the moment of his conversion had been a life filled with sin. But that was St. Augustine's particular human experience.
How
right?
old are you?
68.
So are you gonna be like gay all your life, or will this pass?
You know the answer to that as well as I do.
But most
You're going to be
Of
back
course
all
it
your life?
passes. Every time he falls asleep, his gayness goes away. Because see, that's the thing about picking like an egoism, like your ego, like your conscious ego as like the center of your identity. Every time you fall asleep, it dies and goes away, and you lose your identity. So of course he's not gay like holistically all the time. Yeah, I mean, of course he's not gay all the time. What? There's a fire outside. We might have to go. Maybe I'll be able to finish this
Well,
video.
being
about to
gay
get
and being
deep.
black is different. It's like
No, it's not, my brother.
black is a skin color, but gay is like an abnormal lifestyle.
Technically, blackness only exists within consciousness too, in terms of skin color, because it's a second, like, one, like in general consciousness, like it's even like a secondary attribute, like according to all the other empirical things, like we have like differing senses of like each other's skin based on like our visual like perception, whether we're colorblind or whether we're not colorblind. or even like depending on what light that we're under, like the colors of our skin change. Like the light you see in this YouTube video of Jesse's skin right now is like studio light, right? He looks probably a different shade of black, like out in the sunlight. And if you put him under like an RGB light, like people have in their computers, like with like a billion range spectrum of colors, you could probably find a color for any color of skin you want to make him, right? As long as you shine it like in the right way on him. So really, like, it's a very like arbitrary thing to like be like, oh, you have a permanent blackness to you or something like that. It's not true. It doesn't exist.
Is that what you believe?
Yeah, you can overcome it.
No, I'm afraid that's
I just
that's
overcome
wrong.
blackness. I did.
So why would
We're not
God?
here to talk about sacred resistance. We're going to talk about homosexuality.
I'm just stunned that you're gay. I didn't know that. I didn't read it. One last question about that. Why would God make lesbians and gay men? Why? What was the purpose of that?
Why did God make zebras?
But how about lesbians?
What was the purpose of that?
To multiply.
To multiply, to make more
Have
zebras?
sex and make more
Why do
zebras.
we need more
I
zebras?
think
To keep the
accidents
earth
just
clean and
happen
do what zebras do.
And notice,
because it's like the ecosystem. There has to be, there was like an ecosystem set up for like humanity's like Eden state, so to speak, and then that harmony is essentially preserved as like we are conservative with our uses and our behavior within nature, right?
and men can't multiply. Women and women can't multiply. Only man and woman
That's what like zebras
together,
and the bees and the
laying it
ants are
down,
for and stuff
can
like
make
that.
that happen. So why do you think God made it that way? Because that's the way it's supposed
Ultimately,
to be.
it's for us.
But you don't know why God made
I
lesbians.
don't know why God made zebras. I don't know why God made you or why God made me.
Amazing.
If you say you know it,
I know
I'd
why
say
God
So
you're
that we can
being a little
testify to
presumptuous.
God's
No, he made human
existence.
beings to create love.
And he probably made zebras to make, so that's why he made gay people.
Amazing.
But see, love is formed after the Trinity, right? You have the Father, Son, Holy Ghost. You have the Father who's like the lover, and then the Son who's like the beloved, and then the Holy Ghost who's like love between them, like in like their synthesis, or ultimately the formulation of love, objectively and eternally speaking, is a person personifying, or like a person like inheriting personhood from a person, right? And then the personhood is a person too. And so it's like, and then that's mirrored in like the family structure for humans, in that like one person, the father, loves another person, the mother, and that love is a child, right? And so like that's what love is.
I'm really, I had no idea.
And that's
so
how
I
we
gotta
can show
ask
our
you
love.
about your organization.
Besides just testifying to the Trinity.
Sacred Resistance.
Sacred
LA.
Resistance, right.
What is it? How
Because
did
having children means more testimony of the Trinity. And that's why you should have children.
it get started and why?
Sacred Resistance began around 2015, 2014 as a response to what was then the Obama administration's I mean, we talk a lot about, now about President Trump,
Right.
but the Obama administration's stance around immigrations and refugees was also very, very bad. And so it was created around the militarization of the southern border between Mexico and Guatemala, using the Mexican army as a proxy for our own immigration service. And it was also created as in response to the influx of refugees coming up from Central America, fleeing violence and fleeing corruption, but really fleeing really terrible levels of violence in Honduras and Guatemala and El Salvador, and all those children come.
Okay. I'm gonna pause the video and I'll be back. There's a fire going on. I'm gonna make sure everything's alright. Yeah, I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, the fire's like within like half a mile of my house, but it's marked as a silent incident, so it's like it's not big enough for them to like even send out notifications that like it's there. But we could like smell it, and there's like helicopters flying over our house and stuff. So it was a little scary first. I thought like, oh shit, I gotta pack up everything and watch everything burn. Well, let's get back into it.
coming up at that time.
Oh, thank God though for grace.
And so the Episcopal Church and particularly the Diocese of Los Angeles, we thought that there needed to be a more humane response to that condition than the
So
one we were giving.
you guys didn't like the fact that
Thank God
Obama
for the
was trying to
firefighters.
prevent them from coming here?
Heroes.
Obama was actually he was
Yeah,
trying,
they were talking about immigration. I don't know much about the immigration crisis, but like there's the argument that like one, we shouldn't be like the notion that we should replace our population with immigrants because we have a declining population instead of fixing the family problem, right? And ignoring the family problem is a big problem. Like it's kind of like putting a band-aid over like an artery that's bleeding out, you know what I mean? And then it's like and then like when it comes and like we don't need more like laborers. Like AI is going to be obsoleting most of these jobs pretty soon. So it's like we don't need more laborers, not really, just in the short-term gains. And like that's just like selfish, like greedy profiteers who aren't thinking about the long term. And like also when it comes to like people who are fleeing their nations because of the trouble in those nations, well now like the people who should be most motivated to try to fix those problems in their home turf, in their home area, in their hometown, are now instead of fixing the problems and banding together and fighting a common cause, they're running away, and that's cowardice, right? They should be trying to fix their problems at home instead of abandoning their people.
trying to prevent them from coming here. But also, Obama was the one who
And by their
interfered
people, I mean their closer family members.
in the Honduran elections in 2009 and caused that situation.
In what way? How did
Honduras.
you do that? What do you do?
He supported the United States supported the loser of that election and put him in office,
Oh, I
even
see.
though he had lost. It was one of the first things Obama did in 2009.
Well, how do you feel about those cages, what they call cages, that Obama started when he put the illegal aliens in and just kind of detained them until they figure out what to do with them? Were you okay with that when Obama did that?
I'm not okay with anybody doing that.
How about when Obama did it? Were you okay with? Did y'all protest that as well?
We did.
Oh, okay. So you were not okay with that.
Prisons are prisons.
Amazing.
Like they're
So,
not supposed to be like that
So your
comfortable.
sacred resistance, are you
they should be
for
humane.
illegal aliens just crossing the borders, like for open borders, and you just want them to come in?
No, what we're for is for a just immigration service, so that if someone is, I mean,
I want to bring in engineers and doctors and like
international law.
architects.
Someone who
You know what I
is
mean? I
fleeing
don't want to bring in
violence
just
and ask for
low-skilled
asylum
labor that's going to
be
become
given a
obsolete in
fair
the next
hearing
decade.
of that for that asylum, right? And we're also asking
Technically, I guess the
for
architect
a,
might become obsolete too.
immigration laws where the quotas are adjusted. Where
Actually, a lot of
someone
science,
who
like,
is,
degrees
to
Because of
come in
artificial
legally
intelligence.
at this point,
Like basically,
in the United
like the
States.
PhDs are going to be able to maintain their position, like the top, like super elite 1%, like 0.1%, 0.01% of like smart people will be able to maintain their positions because like the AI like probably still needs to be taught like certain things generally because it gets things wrong still. But when it comes to like all the bachelor's degrees, AI is smarter than pretty much everyone with a bachelor, right? Like if that's all your goal was, like to get a bachelor's degree, an AI could do that. You know what I mean? Like you're not impressive anymore, ever, like ever again. And master's degrees is probably the same thing, especially like when it comes to like, well, ironically, like since like the way humanities degrees do go, like you would think it should focus on authentic human interactions that really like are the value of the degree. But when it comes to just like getting A's in the classroom, you know, an AI can just get past all the classes. Like when it comes to just writing the essays, the only thing it can't do is the authentic human interaction.
States, okay? There's like a waiting list.
But yeah, engineering, science, like all the STEM field, that'll get replaced by AI. Yeah. The only point of ever going to school, and this is the way it should have been, because like AI is going to replace the people going there for jobs, is it should have always been for doctors in theology, right? It should have been theology is the main purpose of education, and then like philosophy, and specifically metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, and then you just like love wisdom, and then that's the point of like education, is just loving knowledge and learning more about God and testifying to the truth, as opposed to like pursuing it so you can advance in your career or something like that, because AI is just going to replace all that. And I'm so happy it will, because I hate people who like go to school to just like pursue careers. Like it's just degrading like the society.
Just of, I think it's
Okay,
can't-
I take that
even-
back. I don't hate them. I hate their pursuits and their passions with a passion. And since they self-identify with their passion, I'm committing genocide against them, because they believe that they are their passions, and I wish to end all their passions and give them bliss instead, or have God give them bliss, I should say.
Even in the asylum cases, they're like 3 or 4, 5 years behind schedule, right? So to come in legally in the United States, the only thing that gets you in really is if you have a ton of money, right? Then you can get in, right? But our immigration system is broken at this point.
But these people come illegally. Are you for them breaking the law to come into the, as a priest and a father? Are you for them breaking the law to come into the country?
If someone is fleeing violence,
But they're
and
not fleeing violence.
How do you know?
There's no proof that they're fleeing
who?
violence from Obama administration.
Well, you have to
or-
prove you made the claim, fool. Like literally, like he made the claim that they're fleeing violence, so you have to substantiate it.
the Great
I
White
don't
Hope
know
administration.
of whom you're referring. Do you have somebody
They're
particular
just
in
running
mind?
away. They claim to be running away from gang members and things like that.
You don't think
but,
that's what you think they're lying?
But they shouldn't be allowed to just come into our country. They should clean up their neighborhood, right? Because they're bringing that
So
same.
a 10, 11-year-old boy is supposed to clean up his neighborhood?
Well, let me put it this way: at what point does having taken on like what part of their population does it justify the United States invading them and conquering those states because they're a problematic state, like on our border, like Mexico? Like at what point, like how many Mexicans have to leave Mexico to come to the United States, like of their own free will, right? To justify that now Mexico's so corrupt as a nation because some people are fleeing from it to us, that we have to intervene because the gangs and violence and cartels have gotten so bad, right?
The parents are supposed to do it.
And it's a national
what happened?
security
The
threat.
government.
The government and the parents.
Right.
Well, the government seems to be incapable of doing that there. And if your son is in danger of being murdered by a gang, you take him out of there. You would do that, and I would do that.
But now they're doing that here. They're bringing.
Or
in
they join the bigger gang, the police force, and they crack down on like the violence.
same evil stuff here.
Maybe die as
and they're
heroes,
still killing each other. and
saving
they're
their
killing,
country from crime
American citizens.
instead of running away.
What
like
are
cowards.
they supposed to
It's
do
just a
now?
narrative.
Run to another country?
Want to offer them a better
What do you mean
narrative.
they're killing American citizens?
These
There's
are
absolutely
violent
no
games.
evidence of that.
Yes,
Bro, like what do you think is more real? Having a bunch of kids run from Mexico so they could play Call of Duty in the United States, or actually giving them a Call of Duty to like Call of Duty those motherfucking gangs in Mexico? You know what I mean?
yeah. Have you seen in New York and
I
South
lived in New
Central
York
LA?
for 30 years. There were no gangs killing Americans
What's the
in
name
New
of
York.
those street gangs? MS-13 and other. It's
do we want more kids playing gay of duty, the LGBTQ, like, you know what I mean? Like if you're been following the recent stuff, like how Nick Merckx got his like operator taken away because like he wouldn't support like grooming children.
rampant
It
in
is
New
not
York and other
rampant.
places. Are you in
This
denial
dude
about
is
that?
lost.
I'm not in denial.
But you're
Absolutely,
not
no,
being
it is
honest
not
about it.
rampant.
It is
the
rampant.
violence that MS-13.
Are you seriously saying
Excuse
it's
me,
not
hang
rampant?
Hang on. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
The violence of MS-13 is either one of two things. Either it's reached the tipping point that nobody in Mexico has hope and they have to flee, right? And so therefore we have justification to invade Mexico now and take the country from those gang members. Or it's not that bad. There's still hope and they should fight the Call of Duty fight in the home turf and win. So which one is it? Like, which ones are you advocating for?
Violence of MS-13 is actually perpetrated on its own members, right?
No.
You're talking about what goes on in Brentwood on Long Island, which I lived very close to for many years, right?
Right.
Right? I'm not negating that violence exists. What I am saying is that it has been wildly blown out of proportion.
But it hasn't. I happen to
It
know.
absolutely has,
I
my
happen
brother.
to know police officers and others who are working with those
It
people. It's not
absolutely
been-
has been blown
I've seen it.
wildly.
I've seen it. It has not been. It's not blown out of proportion. It's not really
So
told
give-
how bad it
give,
really
give me
is.
some numbers.
I don't have numbers right here in
then-
hand, but
then-
they're killing. And so you're okay with them leaving their country, killing one another, but to come here and do it?
That's a really dumb question.
Are you okay with that?
I think you gave a
Give
real
me a
dumb
dumb
answer.
answer to it.
No, I'm not even going to dignify it with an answer.
But you said that they are doing that to themselves over there. But they're
no,
also,
that isn't actually what I said.
well, they're running away from it, right? But they're coming here doing it to themselves.
You're talking about 8,
are
9,
you-
10, 11-year-old kids coming here.
Those are not. Well, there are some kids coming here, but they're becoming.
You don't
killers as
think
well.
you don't think they're past the age of reason? You don't think that they can recognize the difference between right and wrong, and you don't think that they can decide that they want to be gangbangers too? Like, why do you put that above 9-year-olds? They play cops and robbers. They play cowboys and Indians. They play soldier. Like, they understand the concept. Like, quit acting like they're stupid and naive and incapable when if you had a gun in their hand, they can just as easily take you out as any other adult.
This is just bullshit.
You a priest? Can you curse?
I just did.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
Man done lost all criteria.
I don't like cursing, but
He
I
done
do it
fell off
sometimes.
The guidelines
So
for being a
advice.
pastor a long time ago. Once he blurted out that I'm gay and that God is just some force.
There's no
and you
point
don't have to
editing
have
it out,
repentance,
though,
and
like,
there's so
leave
many
it in.
things. It's flabbergasting to me.
You gay and you curse? Curse?
I just did.
That's amazing. You
Amazing.
gay and you curse? God's not pleased.
God is not pleased.
How do you
I
feel
guess
about?
you and I worship two different ideas about that.
Oh yeah. How do you feel about the Great White Hope?
The Great White Hope.
What is that?
Donald Trump, the
Donald
president.
Trump.
I'm not in favor of him.
Why not?
I think he's incompetent and mentally unstable.
In what way?
Wait.
In what way is he mentally unstable?
First,
I
incompetent.
wonder what he thinks
How
about
is
Joe Biden.
He is impulsive, ignorant.
People are ignorant in.
Does not take.
Is he ignorant in the wrong ways or the
advice
right
to know
ways? Like,
about
you know what I mean? Like, if he was ignorant about like how to perform plastic surgery to give like women like double or fake penises or whatever. If he was ignorant of that, I would be like, yeah, oh, you're ignorant. Oh, like, or would you be like, oh yeah, like you should be ignorant of that because like who would need to know such a thing? Like, what do you mean? Like, you're just talking, man, without giving any anything of substance.
He is a narcissist.
A narcissist, okay.
Sees the world only in terms of himself. He is psychologically really damaged, and
Honestly, I don't know
I
him
just
that
think
well.
he's a very,
Is
very
it,
poor.
And you're not.
Is it impulsive or compulsive to put a wall up around the border to protect the American citizen?
Nope.
It's ineffectual.
Is that mental?
Well, I mean, he hasn't really done it.
If it's a good enough wall.
No, the wall is going up. Is that mental?
Have you heard that they? I know, and they're boring through it.
But I'm asking you, is that mental to put America first?
You mean, do I think that's a good thing to put America first?
Right.
Yes.
No, I don't think it's a good thing to put America
Are
first.
you an American citizen?
I am an American.
Personally, I think like I evaluate the whole like putting things first thing in terms of like you should put people with shared disposition first, and then people who are most convenient to you to protect, you should put them next, and then people who have great utility, like in general, especially to you or to someone else, like to the community in general. Like that's kind of like the order. Like just because it's like people are willing to like cross the ocean for like a common like moral disposition. Like it's an easy like people like who like do missionary work, right? Like they go like because of this disposition they have, this moral disposition, like they're willing to go to the ends of the earth, right? But it's like and then like there's the convenience motivator. It's like it's very inconvenient, but like still like they still operate on some level of convenience where the things that are more convenient, they're still going to like be drawn towards those things just a little bit more than not, right? Like you don't begin, even if you think that you could reach somebody at the end of, like, say you were going down a cul-de-sac and you're doing on your mission, even if you thought you could reach the person at the end of the cul-de-sac, like like truer and get them to like convert like in a more real way, like, or like successfully than like everybody else leading up to it, like your convenience still tells you, oh, I should stop at each house on the way and like work my way towards it instead of going all the way to like that house and meeting like my disposition, right? Like when it comes to like the mission. And then also like you could be like a great, it also fulfills a utility in that like there's still it's still a better method, right? If you're being like methodological in like the way that you carry out your mission instead of, you know, basing it based on like the people who already agree with you and just going straight to them, right? But if you're like, if you're trying to like spread your message like physically, like you want to, you begin in one corner and then you work your way out of that corner into the other corner, right? And like the idea is like you take a pathway that is convenient to also, but is also methodologically useful to like keep everything contained in one area and spread out like in increments away from a center point, as opposed to like going to the edges and like trying to like pick people at the very edges of like of any given place, but they're scattered all over the place. So there's also utility to that too. So that's kind of what I mean.
Citizen.
And so you think that it's a bad idea to put the wall
So
up?
like when it comes to America, like you want to like secure your borders because you want to make sure that's like that's your corner, you know what I mean, of the world. And it's both it like there's enough people in America that share moral disposition with you that they're worth like working towards, and like technically you don't have to work towards them, like you work towards a common goal and then like independently act on that goal together in harmony. Like that's what you get when you have a common moral disposition. But then like also like out of convenience, it's like they're your neighbors, like they're right there across the street, right? And then of course like when it comes to utility, your neighbors because of convenience become more useful to you, even if everybody else was just as useful in any given place for your mission, because they're more convenient to you also, right? And so therefore they can fulfill the utility of like testifying to the Trinity, right, in a more useful way because they do it across the street as opposed to across the ocean or like across some border.
Around the border.
I think it's a terrible idea.
You don't want to protect the
It's-
American people.
It's ineffectual.
So Israel put a wall up around its
And
borders.
that's just, and by useful in this sense, I mean, it's not like morally, like, it's not, it goes beyond just like a moral good. It's like also like a psychological like affirmation. And so that's the usefulness, like the psychological sort of affirmationness that you get, like, in the feels like, you know, I've been affirmed, right? And that's like a useful thing to get from your neighbors, like who are more convenient to you than other people.
Are they mental as well?
Yes.
Israel is mental for putting a wall up?
Yeah.
That's amazing. You
He must not like his doors at night. Plain and simple. He must just leave. Welcome everybody. Anybody come in. Drug dealers, rapists, killers, and everybody.
I
Everybody's
wonder what he
welcome.
thinks about
love
guns.
the Jews?
I do.
You love white people?
Well, I try to love people generally.
How about white people?
I don't understand the meaning of that question.
So it's like he so easily answers, "Do you love Jews?" He says yes, but like, "Do you love white people?" He won't say yes. What's the difference? Like, like what's the difference between those questions? Like, what significant difference is between those two questions? Like, is he saying like, oh, like he loves them because of like the religious Jews or ethnic Jews? Like why wouldn't he love ethnic white people if it's just another ethnicity, so to speak, if you want to count it that way, right? We could just be the long-eared people or the brown-eyed people too, but whatever.
You understood when I asked about the Jews. You said right away, yeah, I love the Jews.
No, I didn't say that.
What'd you say?
I said I liked them. Do I love the Jews? Do I love white people? I think
Wait.
what I said is actually I try to love all people.
Wait,
Killers and everybody.
hold on.
You understood what I asked about the Jews.
I understand the meaning of that question.
You understand
I try to love people in general. I do.
Everybody's welcome.
love
Wait.
the Jews?
I do.
He just says I do. He's lying.
But I think what I said is actually I try to love all people.
Do you love the white people?
Do I love the white people? Would you have anybody particular in mind?
All white people.
Yes.
No, I don't love all white people.
And why not?
You should love
Well, it
all
would depend
people.
on the person.
Why don't you love all white people?
You mean, do I have a kind of blanket feeling of, well, okay, let me put it this way. I guess I love white people the same way I love all people.
But why don't you love all people?
I just told you I loved all people.
No, you said you did.
Yeah, you said you didn't. You're a hypocrite.
All right.
Or you're self-contradictory.
How is it
Is what I
possible
meant
that
to say.
you can represent God and not love all people?
My brother, I'll see you later.
Oh, man.
Stupid conversation.
You about to run?
Yeah.
Don't run. Priest, don't run.
This priest is leaving.
Why?
Look at Jesse's face.
This
He's
is a
so
stupid
shocked.
conversation.
What's stupid about it? We're talking about America.
Great.
Are you really running?
Dude, that's
Beta.
great. Beta. Beta male. Beta male.
Here you go.
You're
She'll
locked
buzz
in
you out.
there.
She'll buzz you out.
So, the reason I am leaving is that the questions are answered before.
Can we get you in the light over here?
Yeah, we need to get him in the light. That's for sure. The reason you're leaving, you don't like facing truth. You don't like facing reality head on.
Let's see
The
what this
reason I
is
am
say.
leaving is the questions are answered as I'm being asked them. They're stilted. They're not trying to gain any kind of information. You called to ask about sacred resistance. He asked me.
I think they were
almost no questions
very
about
probing.
that. And so I think you misrepresented yourselves to my organization. Bless you. God bless you. I wish you well, but it's a charade.
Would you like
So,
to go back and finish the interview?
I don't think so. Thank you.
See you.
Amazing.
Amazing. All right.
He's done.
I'm going to call it. I don't need to hear what Gibson has to say. I'm not reacting mainly to him right now. He's just my portal to these great videos. Thank you, Gibson. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you. I forget this guy's name. Thank you, this guy. God bless. Have a great day.